got the groove with the music, don't suck. Come.
Hi and welcome back to MMAnytt and the studio here in Stockholm. We've got Globen in the background where you will be on Saturday night, Ryan, and so will you, Tim. Tim Lane, coach of Ryan Couture co-main event, and if no one knew, from Extreme Couture, you can see that from Tim's shirt. And we've got Omar Bouiche with us as well, the expert commentator here from Sweden, former fighter and coach in Stockholm. We were just talking actually before the cameras were on. We were talking about Ryan's last fight, and you had watched it, Omar.
Yeah, it was a really good fight. Yeah, it was really good.
Thank you.
I liked his standing because I was thinking you were a wrestler, but really good.
I was supposed to be a wrestler.
Yeah, you're supposed to.
Luckily, the striking came through for me, and I think I really made a lot of progress going into that fight.
Is there any one turning point for your striking, or has it just been a constant improvement?
It's been a constant progression working with Tim for the last few years. We've really just put in the work and spent the time and really got my footwork down first, and now we're starting to piece together those offensive tools, and everything's starting to come together. I think you'll see yet another improvement this time out. Because
not to downplay your ground game, of course, but is there any fight in particular where you feel that your striking has had a chance to shine?
I think the Connor Hune fight, that was when the footwork really started to pay off, and I was able to find a home for my right hand and actually do some damage standing, and that gave me a lot of confidence in my striking going forward.
And I think a lot of people realize that as well. Connor Hune has been in there with some of the toughest guys in the industry, and they haven't been able to finish him, and you did.
Yep, I think I was the first one to ever do it.
Yeah, you were. Now, if you didn't know, Omar used to fight way back when your dad was fighting, in the beginning of his career.
A long time ago, though.
Now, did you know that Ryan's son was fighting?
No, I didn't know that.
So that was the first fight you saw with KJ News?
That was really like, wow, that's cool. Awesome. I met your father actually a couple of times, so...
Right on.
You see the resemblance now?
That's a pretty clear resemblance.
The same kind of discipline, I think, too, in the ring.
Yeah.
Hands up, following game plans.
Got a good example to follow, and had years of seeing what he did and how he prepared and his approach to the game, and I've tried to emulate that the best I can.
Do you have any wrestling background, like in Olympics or something like that? Or
no, not at all.
Nothing?
I wish. That's actually probably my weakest area now is my wrestling.
Oh, really?
We're trying to shore up that weakness and get more effective with the takedowns. These guys are so good at stopping the takedown now that that's forced me to focus on the striking.
Because what I heard, they told me that you're more like a ground fighter.
Yeah, more of a submission specialist, and I wrestled in high school, and then I took a break and went to college and got fat and out of shape and drunk. And when I finished school, I started getting back in shape, and then I started with jiu-jitsu. That was sort of my entry into MMA.
How come it wasn't wrestling? Because of your father?
Just not a lot of club wrestling or wrestling gyms around, but I found a jiu-jitsu school, and wrestling's really, at that time, it would have bin way more intense of a workout that I wanted, and you're in there punishing yourself every day, and it takes a special kind of masochist to want to do that just for fun.
And Tim, you're in a wrestling home almost, at Extreme Couture in Vegas, where you have so many high-level wrestlers from Jay Hiran, obviously Randy and Ryan, and you have so many other guys in there as well that are from wrestling background. You're a striker, bringing your game into what everyone else do it, such as Ryan, dealing with Ryan here, and you obviously have Frank Trigg as well. How do you feel the transition from wrestling to stand-up or stand-up to wrestling fits your game, and what you bring to the table?
I think, I started my martial arts in judo, and I wrestled a little bit. I started when I was a little kid, when I was 6, so I understand a little bit about it. I don't like doing it. I definitely like putting my hands and feet on people, but it's been a great experience. To have people who are such great students. Like Ryan is amazing. Even Jay. Jay Hiran is the person who got me to move to Las Vegas.
Yeah.
And it's just I think working with people who really want to learn and really want to just feel different arts and do things. It's been amazing.
What's been fun for me through this whole process working with Tim is seeing him learn more about MMA and more about how his style applies to a mixed fight and how to use his tricks to set up takedowns has been cool. We both kind of have progressed together in that regard.
I think all of us have. Me and Tim been to Israel together. We've been to Britain together twice, cornering Frank Trigg, and got you good for April Fools this year. It's good to know someone's mind and know how they work. And I know I stressed you out.
I was surprised you were still breathing when I got to Sweden.
I do not appreciate that.
but knowing that it's such a close knit, it's not one coach and you switch to coach. You guys have been growing up in the gym, so to speak, together. How important is that to know someone's mind as well as the physical abilities?
It's vital. You know, I don't believe you can bounce from one coach to another coach. If you, like myself, I used a lot of different coaches all my life. My dad was in the military. I was born overseas, and I learned a little bit from this guy, a little bit from that guy. I never really had a real strong connection with one person who could bring me all the way to the top. I would learn as much as I can, and then move on to the next guy, and maybe move to another state, move to another, another place, and keep learning. But with Ryan, with his background and the things that I have, there's not a whole lot that I can't show him as far as striking goes, and with his ability to listen and learn, and us to be able to communicate, and like Ryan said, we've been able to just talk about some things. And as far as MMA goes, Frank Trigg he was the kind of plateau that I got over. I tried to turn him into a striker, and he's not a striker. MMA, for myself, I'm a boxing coach and a kickboxing coach. So to have guys and like Ryan that listen so well, and I ask him questions. Hey, does this feel right? Does this feel, how does it feel to you? And the communication was open, and he, we both just talk and feel it out and learn together.
So you're learning yourself as well.
Oh yeah.
And for you that don't know, Tim Lane is a world champion kickboxer as well, and you, Omar, as a coach. Do you agree with what they're saying?
Yeah, totally. I think you need to connect with somebody and stay with him for a long time, because it takes a long time to learn something. I mean, people go like 1 year this place, 1 year another place. I think they're missing something when they do that.
I've seen a lot of guys come through Extreme Couture that do that and bounce from coach to coach, and they have a bad fight and they say, oh, I got to get a new coach. And you never progress that way. You're constantly just kind of relearning a new system every time you switch coaches, and you don't get a chance to build on the foundation you've laid with that one person. And it goes beyond just loyalty. I think it's just more effective to find someone that you have a good connection with and stick with them, and then you can really progress.
Agree. Co-main event in your UFC debut. It's not as bad as you've still been in Strikeforce and you fought on big cards worldwide on TV. We got Ilir Latifi stepping in for the main event, who's not only doing his UFC debut, but as the main event. Did you ever see, when you found out that Alex Gustafsson was injured, did you ever think that you were going to be the main event? Do you feel that the spotlight has switched a little bit to you and Ross Pearson?
I think it makes us a little more of a featured bout, and is going to put a few extra eyes on us because the main event was so built around Gustafsson being the hometown guy, and it was a bummer to lose him from the fight, but so it may put a few more eyes on, a little more focus on us, but it's not something I'm worried about. I'm not want to get too caught up in that. I have the same job in front of me, whether we're the first fight that's not on TV or the main event. It's still a guy going to try and punch me in my head and knock me out, and I got to be ready for that regardless.
I mean, we were talking yesterday about going into the UFC for the first time, the butterflies that people say that even
octagon jitters, as it's called.
Yeah. Do you believe that it's a difference walking into that cage versus another cage?
It's going to be a much bigger crowd than I've ever fought in front of before, and the lights are that much brighter. There's that many more eyes on it. I think an advantage that I have going into it is that I was able to be in my dad's corner for several of his huge fights, including in front of 55,000 people in Toronto. So I think that experience and knowing what that walk through the tunnel's like and past that huge of a crowd, even though the attention wasn't directly on me, just getting to have that front row seat to that is going to make me a little better prepared to put all that aside and just focus on fighting.
And not many people have the luxury of being able to do that, obviously. Ross Pearson, however, has a lot of experience himself. He's mentioned that he's a big fan of your father, and no ill will in this fight versus you compared to his last fight, where there was a lot of ill will, a lot of respect for you. Any comments on Ross and his abilities?
I've been a fan of him for a long time. He's got a really exciting style. He's a crowd pleaser, and he's dangerous. So, when I got word, I was like, okay, well, that's a tough challenge, but I'm up for it, and I'm excited to fight a guy that I respect and that I've enjoyed watching for years is going to be a real cool experience for me.
And for you, it's been step up after step up after step up, a little bit almost similar to Alexander Gustafsson. We've seen step ups as well, from Conor Ewan to KJ Nunes to now Ross Pearson, who's a legit UFC fighter. You win against Ross Pearson on Saturday. What do you think is next for you?
Another tough fight. I mean, it's just going to prove to everybody that I'm here on my own merits and that I'm where I belong and that I'm sticking around, and then we'll see who they throw at me next. But it's not going to be an easy road. There's no easy fights in the UFC, and I'm looking forward to all the challenges that I have ahead of me.
Well, not to look past Ross in any way, but if we can just look at the whole broad spectrum, stylistically, Is there any opponent whose style you say matches up with yours very well for an exciting fight, or anyone who you think...
This one. I think this is going to be a barn burner. If I can't take him down especially, it's going to be fight of the night. So if I can put him on the mat, I think I can get him out of there. But if I get stuck standing with him, things are going to get interesting, and it'll be a good back and forth battle like my last one was. So, I think a guy like Ross, a good striker with good takedown defense, is always going to be an exciting matchup for me.
And the 155-pound division is stacked. There's a lot of fighters in there. We will see Ryan Couture on Saturday and in the future in the UFC. Looking forward to seeing you in there. In fact, I'll be in the corner with Tim. So I'll definitely be close up. And Omar, any predictions from you?
Just go and sit down and enjoy it.
That's nice,
a
right?
barn burner, like I said.
Barn burner. Barn burner on Saturday. Thank you very much for stopping by, guys.
It has been hunted since the beginning of man. It has challenged us to become better, faster, and more determined. Failure is part of the game, but never accepted. But as sweet as it may taste in the end, it's the pursuit that defines those in it. Here's to victory. Next chance to join the chase.
Betta live i mobilen. Nu dubblar vi din första insättning.
betsafe.com. In it to win it.